Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Carol from Tools for You, and today we're going to have a tutorial on hand painting some Merino 22 micron. It's a comb top, and right behind me is my dye studio, and we've already got the comb top soaking in a water and vinegar bath. So let's get started. Okay, so this is sort of an explanation of how I'm going to do this coloring. Um, so what we are going to do is once we lay out our fiber, I'm going to have approximately 345 grams of fiber that I'm going to be dyeing. And that basically works out to 3 strands of 4-ounce fiber. And so to work out a 1% dye stock, that will equal 3.45 grams of dye in order to dye full strength at 1%. So the top two colors, they're only just spots. As you can see from the picture, there's only just a dab of these colors. So I'm not even considering them. The last 4 colors is going to be working out into the math of it. So in order to dye at 1%, this is what I figured out. So it's going to have to be 0.8 or so 3.45 grams, and then dividing it by 4 gives me the 0.86 grams of dye for each of these 4 colors. So then when I go into it, let me show you. So for the last 2 ones, I'm not going to be doing it full strength. As you can see, this is the chestnut. At 1%, it's quite darker, so I'm going to do 0.5%. And same with the olive, it's quite lighter, so I'm going to do 0.5% for that too. That works out to 0.43 grams for each of these. And then for this one's going to be full strength at 1%, the sage. And then this is going to be a mixture of teal and aqua. And this is the teal. And it's got a little bit of blue in it, a little bit more blue than what the teal is offering. So I'm going to add in this one. And just a tiny bit, just to brighten it up. So I think I'm going to do a full strength on the teal, but 90% teal, 10% of the aqua. So that works out to 0.774 of the teal and 0.086 of the aqua. And that's what we're going to mix up into the jars. And then, and I'll show you how we do that. Okay, so the easiest one to show will be the sage leaf. We're going to want 0.86 grams of dye, and we're going to mix it into our mason jar. So we have our micro scale. Turn it on. Okay, so we need 0.86 grams. Oop, a little bit too much. Okay, that's close enough. 0.862. Okay, so we put that into our jar. And then I have some boiling water here. And I just use that to rinse this off. So I get all the dye out. Okay, so there's not very much water in there right now. So this is where we're going to mix the dye. And now I can just add some more water to it. And that's one that's ready. So let me get the rest of them ready, and then we can start doing the dyeing. Okay, so before we get started, I've got some vinegar in here, and I'm just going to add some to each of the dye jars, the solutions, I should say. I don't measure it, I just add it. And that way the vinegar gets right into the fiber. I've also added vinegar into the fiber to soak. So there's lots of vinegar in the fiber. And we're going to use the large syringes for the bigger dies, jars. And then I've only got, well, I can pour those on probably. I've only got one little one. So I think I'll set that aside. Okay, so first of all, we're going to get some saran wrap. And we're going to lay that out onto the table. And I overlap this a little bit. When you're doing the steaming, it seems to stick together. I don't know, it melds together, so it doesn't leak out. Okay, hopefully that's long enough. Okay, so like I was saying, I've got all this dye I've been soaking overnight, and it's water, and I've got vinegar in there. Quite a bit of vinegar. This has got 6 braids in here, so that's yeah, almost 700 grams of fiber in here. And I probably put 2 cups of vinegar in this to soak. So it's nice and wet. And let's start getting one out. Okay, so you want to get as much water out as possible. And I've wound them into a ball. So now it's just a matter of getting them out. Okay, so I like to do this in 3s. There. Might have to do it in 4s. Okay, let's do it in 4s. And that way we've got enough room. Okay, there we go. There, and just let your, we need room to make sure that the dyes get in there. Go, number 2. There we go. And last one. So the reason we soak these overnight is we want to make sure that the fibers are saturated. It just makes it easier for the dye to adhere to it. If I was to do this dry, the dye would just sit on it, and it wouldn't penetrate into the fiber. So this is just makes life so much easier if it's all wet and prepared. Okay, so we got them all laid out nicely. Okay, so now we can start dyeing. So the two small ones, they're just splashes of color. So I'm going to add them first, and that way I know that they're on there. So I'm just going to lay them on very gently, because again, they're only splashes of color. And then push the dye in because we want to soak both sides. I don't know if the camera picks it up, but you can see when you add the dyes, it starts puffing up. There we go. And you can check on the other side, see if it's gone through. There we go. Okay, so that's the first one. And the second one, I think we'll put up here. There we go. Get rid of those. And just push it in, make sure that it gets in both sides. There. Looks good. Okay. Now for the rest of the fiber, we're going to break this up. And we'll just start adding. And I do this in stripes, so there will be 4 stripes of the main colors. And push it all in. So now you can see that there's probably some areas that need a little bit more. And that's where you can add the little bit that's left. That's that color. Okay. And I think I'm going to add this one to the bottom and the top. Ooh. That looks nice. So when you, like originally my plan was to do it three strands for each one. And so the colorway will repeat 3 times. Because I've done it 4 strands for each one, the color is going to repeat 4 times. So that's another consideration for when you're planning out your colors, how many times it's going to repeat. There, that's quite saturated. Okay, so let's go up to the other end. We'll do some there. Okay, so that's 2 colors. We're only left with 2 colors now, and we'll put them in here. Okay, let's pat that down. Okay, one more color to do. Got a big area to do. Oh, this is the teal. I love teal. These syringes work so good for this painting technique. You can use those foam brushes. I think it takes a little bit longer, in my opinion, because you can fill up a lot of dye in these syringes and be a little bit more accurate where the dye is going into. Okay, so let's pat that down, see where we need some extra. And as you can see too, the colors will mix into the next color that's beside it a little bit. So it gives it a little bit of a blend as well. I think this one needs a bit more. Let's get that in there. Yeah, otherwise there's going to be a lot of white. So we better get some more of that in there. Okay. That's much better. And that's why we need to drain as much water out of the fiber when we're soaking it, so that we can allow the liquid from the dyes to get in there. There. I don't mind a splash of green going into the olive. That looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, that's gone through. Yeah, we're happy with that. Okay, wash my hands. Okay, I'm just going to take a paper towel and go around, clean up any dye that's on the side. And on my table. Told you it's messy. Okay. There, that looks good. Okay, so now I'm just going to scrump it together a little bit, because I want to make sure when I'm rolling the saran wrap over that there's room to attach here. So let's put you in there. I don't think I mentioned that this is, I'm pretty sure it's 22 micron Merino that I'm using today. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to put another layer of wrap over top, and then I'm going to wrap everything together. And that way I make sure that it's well covered. Okay. And then I'm going to fold over the edges. First of all, I'm going to fold over the end. And then I'm going to fold over the edges. Okay, and then I'm going to do it in half. And so now I can decide which way to roll it. I can either roll it this way or from this way. What you got to keep in mind is, as you're rolling, some of the dyes can move around and blend. So I'm going to go this way because I like these teals, the green, and I don't mind it ending up into a bit of the brown. I think I had too much air in there. Okay, so now we're ready to steam it. And you can either use, this works out really well. I've got a pot and I've got the strainer. Put the water in here, put that on top, and then this can go on top. I find that works out really well, and just use the lid to keep the steam in. And then I've also got my cooktop that I keep down here, and I can do the same. I can put some water in the bottom, and then I have a basket, and it's able to steam set. I think I'm going to use this today, and I got to take it up to the kitchen, let it steam. You want to, once the steam starts happening, then you want to let it steam for another 45 minutes, and then let it cool down. You want it to cool down completely. Okay, so let me take it upstairs. I'll steam that up, and then once it's cooled down, we'll see what the results are. Well, it's all steamed up now, and it has cooled down. It's still a tiny bit on the warm side. That's okay, because I'm going to use warm water to rinse, and once we take it out of here, I'll use a bit of soap with the warm water, and that way if there's any kind of dye that's left in here, it'll rinse out, and it'll also take the smell of the vinegar out. Okay, so let's take it out of the pot and see what we have. Okay, let's try and get it as close as to the camera as possible so you can see. Okay, so first of all, we folded it in half. Where's the fold? Right here. Oh. There we go. This is the top sheet that can get thrown in the garbage, or just leave it at the end. It's kind of welded together. Okay, that goes on there. Okay, and yeah, so pushing down, all I'm seeing is clear water. So that's a good sign that, you know, the 45 minutes steam was long enough. That's all it needed. And then, you know, while it was cooling down, it was also giving that extra time to let the dyes adhere. So I'm pretty happy with that. I'm hoping that the camera can kind of pick up all the colors, but once I've got this washed, I'm going to be setting it out to dry. I've also got a lovely spin dryer that takes out all the water, and by tomorrow the fiber will be dry, which I love. That was a good expenditure. So let me get this. There we go. There's the 4 strands. Or is it more than that here? 1, 2, 4. Why have I got an extra? Somehow it's got mixed up. 1, 2. Okay. This 1. Two. And the last one, 3. Okay, let's get that cleaned up. Okay, so I've taken most of the water out. Before I wash it, I just want to show you the colors. Okay, so this is how we dyed it into 4s. Like that. Just making sure that you can see on the camera. So we've got our olive down here, and then into the greens and the teals, and then a little bit of the splash of the red, and then we've got the chestnut at the end here. So let's bring it together, and that way you can see the whole thing. There. And then this is our picture. So it looks fairly close. I'm really happy with it. But it can change again after it's dry. It'll probably lighten up, the colors will probably lighten up a little bit. So we'll check again once it's dried. So for now, I'll bring the camera over to the sink, and then you can see how I wash. Okay, so let's fill the sink up. We've got warm water. Doesn't have to be hot, but it has to be hotter than the fiber is. So the fiber's a little bit warm. It's not cold, but it's a little bit warm. So as long as the water going in is hotter than the fiber, you won't felt it. If it's colder, you may felt it. And the reason for that is um, it makes the fiber, it just wants to tighten like a fist when it's cold. Okay, we'll add a little bit of soap. I like the soak. It's a great soap for wool. You don't need very much. Okay, so let's add the fiber. And hopefully, with a lot of luck, we did the math. So, yeah, it looks pretty clear. There's a little bit, tiny bit of dye, but very little. Okay. It looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay. So I think what I'm going to do, because there is a little bit, I'm going to add a bit more water and rinse it. With this soap, you don't necessarily have to rinse it. It's okay to leave in, but I'm going to rinse this anyways, just because there is just a tiny bit of dye left in it. And I think it'll be a good idea to get all of it out. Okay, let's put this back. See, the hot water seems to relax the fibers, whereas the cold water just makes everything clamp up, and that's where you're going to get the felting. Okay, so they're nice and relaxed. They're soaking up that water. They're enjoying this bath. Oh, I love the colors. They're so pretty. Okay, I'll let that drain again. And then I'll put it right through to my my spin dryer again. Okay. Here's one. This almost reminds me of peacocks, the colors of peacocks. I love this color. And the last one. So when you're dealing with fiber, never wring it. Just always press the water out. Okay, there we go. show you my spin dryer. Whoops. This is my spin dryer. Okay. Well, that was a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to show, this was the picture that we were trying to get the colors from. And how I got this was I Googled birds colors palette. And all these different kinds of birds, beautiful, beautiful birds with colors. So it kind of gives you the colors of the bird as well as the background of the bird. But it's a great way to start if you're not too sure what colors go together. I've also done flowers, and I'm sure there's others that you can Google. But it's a good start. But anyways, this is our braid that we dyed, and I think it's pretty close to the picture. And so this one, we did it in, we broke the one strand up into 4, so the color is going to go 4 different times. If we had done it one strand into 3 sections, then you've got the colorway going 3 times. So depending on how much room you have to lay your fibers out will depend on and how much you are dyeing. I think 100 grams, 4 ounces is pretty basic for usually what you buy and you can spin. And then again, if you're making a large project like a sweater, you might want to do 3 at a time, and that way they're all going to be the same colorway. Okay, so just to show you some other ones that I've done, I've also done this one, and that I think that was 3 different colors together. And these are all on my Etsy shop now. I really love this one. I love anything purple and pink. I love these ones. And this one's Polworth. Yeah, so all of these are all on my Etsy shop if anyone's interested in purchasing them, as well as my dyes. I've got some great, like they're 5-gram sizes. So it's a great size for a beginner, just want to dip their hands into dyeing and try a few different colors and see what happens. And I think that's it for today. Thanks for watching, guys. And don't forget, like and subscribe. I appreciate all the love, and we'll see you next time.